ESCOM by ESCOM and given a department and so this it is of making sure that all of us come forward in terms of load shedding. And a voltaic solar system project that was initiated in one of our facilities, Mamitlake Hospital, by installing batteries that will be able to store the energy for sustainability of energy even during the night. And this financial year, we can report that we are planning to further roll out the mixed energy initiative to 5 hospitals as well as 60 clinics. And all ICU and theater are installed with UPS backup system so that we don't get interrupted as we are operating in those theaters. So we can confirm that all our ICU are connected and we've installed the UPS backup system. And the province procured 2 of the 400 kVA mobile generators to be able to assist wherever there is failures to kickstart with connected generators. If there is a generator that maybe is not kickstarting, we've got the 2 that we are using as a backup, that mobile generators that we can move around the province for intervention. We have since distributed the cell phone numbers of the EMS station managers to all health facilities, to the managers, so that you can also call direct if there's a need in terms of ambulances and intervention, as I've indicated. Honorable Chairperson and honorable members of the National Council of Provinces, we take notes of the report that we are presenting today, and we believe that all collective effort that we are making, including yourself calling us to this meeting and be able to present, we are believing that we are going to be assisted in that regard, so that all of us can deal with the challenges that we are facing of load shedding. Thank you very much, Chair and honorable members.
Thank you, Mamas. Thank you, Honorable MSc Manzini from Mpumalanga Province. Will now, before I can fight with my permanent delegates from Northwest, as I indicated that I'm doing the invitation in alphabetical order, I'm not jumping Northwest Province. Honorable Totov and Honorable Medise will receive an apology from Honorable MEC Sambata. So we'll move straight to Northern Cape. I'll invite Honorable MEC Lekwene, MEC of Health in Northern Cape Province. I'm not jumping Northwest, honorable members.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair of the Session, Comrade Honorable Nyambe. No, I think with alphabetical order, you are right. Northern Cape, it's NC. The C comes first. West, I'm not sure why you are in order. No, you are in order. And Northwest. With the permission, Chair, can I switch off my camera?
No problem.
For connectivity. Thank you very much. Honorable Chair of the Session, Honorable Nyambe, the Chair of the NCOP, Tate Masondo, Deputy Chair of the NCOP, Sylvia Lucas, with our Deputy Minister, Honorable Dr. Sibongeni Tlomo, members of the NCOP, I pay my salutations, and of course to my colleagues I'm serving with in the different provinces we also created. I'll try to present an executive summary. My slides counts to 50, Honorable Chair, but I'm going to speak to the report. Of course, we must appreciate that the challenges cuts across throughout in our provinces. But safe to say that the increase in load shedding is having a detrimental effect on the delivery of healthcare services in our communities in the province. Currently, as in Northern Cape Province, we have 212 facilities excluding your mobile facilities. We want to just note that in the following areas, which there's a lot of pressure. There's 9 areas. There's an increased patient loads, impact on infection prevention and control, as well as hygiene, control of the environment. That's to do with the temperature, cold storage and medication, clinical equipment, diagnostic services, communication and administrative services, the financial implications in terms of the pressure, increased pressure, but also on humanitarian grounds, your psychological implications, which load shedding is causing on our people and staff generally. In the province, we have more than 1.1 million people, which relies on our services, which accounts to about 87%. These are the people without medical insurances. They largely depend on the public services, public institutions for healthcare services. But the one example is the increase of patients with burn wounds due to accidents with paraffin, primer stoves, and other flammable materials, which we know what injuries they can cause. But also, what also key is the control of the environment of our facilities. Our cold chain equipment can only maintain the temperatures for a short period of time and needs additional standby generators to prevent loss of medication due to load shedding. And we must also make the point that our plant engineering equipment is negatively affected, leading to increased maintenance and repairs costs. We have more than we had more of our HVACs in need of repairs, which all of them will just cost us less than 60 million rands in the entire province to fix. In terms of the point I've made on the cold storage and medication, clinical equipment, there's a whole range of issues we can add under that. But I think for me, what's important is the financial implications as well. We know that we're not having the funds readily available, but we would love to make the point that from the financial year 21-22, 22-23, our budget is double up. We're standing at 15.7 for our provincial officers, district officers, CHCs, district hospitals, provincial hospital services, and our tertiary hospital. Just to run them effectively. We're spending at least just less than 16 million rands. Now we have surpassed 30.1 million rands. That's the financial implications of load shedding on our province. But in terms of the psychological and social effects on the services and staff around load shedding, there's an increase in absenteeism and late arrival of personnel on duty due to unavailable alternatives at their homes to really make them to arrive on time at work. Safety of patients and personnel are at risk during load shedding in the evenings as criminals target facilities at night. But also, therefore, we have to look into increasing our security to address this challenge. These are the ripple effect of load shedding, besides just the energy itself, on what load shedding is costing the department. But the other impacts on our services, several mini substations at our facilities or supplying our facilities have been observed to have oil leakages since load shedding has intensified, which poses a major risk to the electricity supply into a healthcare facility. The cost of replacement is just above 40 million rands. But the biggest obstacle is to try and isolate hospitals, CCs, clinics from load shedding, because it is not possible since most of these facilities are deeply embedded into the municipal electricity grid. So currently, we only having our tertiary hospital, which is the Robert Mal Sobukwe Hospital. Some stages, our hospital is excluded from load shedding, especially from level 1 to 3. But as soon as it goes to 4 and above, and then the hospital also experiences the load sheddings, which is a problem. The only hospital in the province which is exonerated or which has been excluded from load shedding is the one in the DR, because it's been removed from the grid altogether. So our current substations needs also to be repaired, and unfortunately, there's the budget which we have not put aside. But also, the interventions which we think we need as a province. The solution from ESCOM to provide electricity to our key hospitals will cost us about for the entire province, will cost us about 80 million rands. This excludes the options of solar and the wind generation. In some cases, we might have to add this to the ESCOM solution. Currently, we're awaiting the CSIR to make a calculation of our needs for a proper costing of solar and battery backup for the entire province. In summary, Honorable Chair, the impact of load shedding is quite significant because it doesn't only affect the delivery of care, but the budget allocation of health will be affected because of the effect on the economy. But also, as a result of load shedding, it also affects the supply of water in a number of our facilities, especially in the periphery of the province, where we don't have strong water supply systems. So as soon as we experience load shedding, the water supply also get affected. Then it becomes a double impact on key major services, which is water, which you can't replace, and energy. And you can then imagine the impact it's having on the general service delivery on our facilities. Honorable Chair, there's a summary of the impact of load shedding in our province. Currently, for the record, we only have one hospital, which is off the grid. All our facilities are on the grid. They depend largely energy from ESCOM. So as soon as there's load shedding, it then impacts heavily on our province. And then finally, Chair, we will at least need just below 100 million rand to really ensure that we cover all these affected areas to load shedding. But we know that and hope that tomorrow's budget speech by the minister will look into these matters so that we don't compromise our services to the communities of our country. Because unfortunately, health services can be replaced in some other parts of the country, especially now in our province, where almost 90% relies on public healthcare services. So we hope and trust that these presentations will be taken to heart by the NCOP and will be then elevated accordingly to be given the necessary attention they deserve, so that we rescue our healthcare system in South Africa. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable MEC Likwene from Northern Cape. I'll now invite the Honorable MEC Dr. Mbombo from the Western Cape.
Afternoon, Chair.
Afternoon.
Background. Is that the correct one?
It's the correct one. It's proper.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Sorry. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I know I'm the last one, so therefore, sometimes people will have heard more or less the same thing throughout. But the advantage of being the last one, I ended up even summarizing on behalf of my colleagues, in other provinces, because as we know that the responsibility of delivering health services and the people who own patients and also own hospitals are the provinces. So when we have common issues, we normally have to fight and using this opportunity also to be heard so that the honorable members can be able to fight on our behalf. What I'm trying to highlight, we are coming from COVID, where, I see the presentation there, but I just wanted to talk through it so that it could be faster. So we're coming from COVID pandemic that has affected us, exposed all our health systems. And as a result, we'll find that we are still in ICU, in as much as that we might not necessarily be critical, but we will be serious. And recently, we've been talking about the issue of the surgical backlogs. And also, Chair, we are coming, some of us who are coming from shortages of water, drought, where at the time we have to put up lots of boreholes, for example, in the Western Cape, and all that there have been no new monies. In some other provinces, there's an issue of the floods and everything. What I'm getting at, Chair, that whilst we're talking about the load shedding now, we mustn't forget that we have got the climate change, the issue of the climate change that is hanging over our heads, of which is we do know that the research is there that health contributes quite a lot to the issues of the climate change and carbonization and all of those. Meaning, whilst you are grappling with the load shedding, we also have to look beyond. So what I'm getting at, Chair, first and foremost about the load shedding is about how do we make sure we reduce energy consumption, which is for lessons from the Western Cape in 2017-18, when there was this beginning of the load shedding, we made sure that at least we need to have measures in place to reduce the energy consumption, of which is currently now 15 out of the 54 hospitals, they are participating, and we are saving almost 4 megawatts because of energy consumption reduction. For example, unnecessary lights, you have to switch it off in some of the other places, and also in some other, like using the different bulbs, instead of having all those bulbs that are actually chowing the energy. In the laundries, not only about using the recycling the water, but also making sure that they are not using the machines that will consume a whole lot of washing machines that will consume a whole lot of energy. And then the other part, Chair, is about, because we're talking about the generators, we forget that the generators need diesel. And whilst for us, we have got an electronic measure so that after load shedding, the staff responsible should be able to send information on what is the level of the diesel. There's no new money for us to pay for the diesel. It's just like there's no new money for the generators. So health has to use the same money that is meant for the health services to be able to do this. Whilst we appreciate the national and the ESCOM for facilitating some of the hospitals to be exempted, noting all these exempted, they're exempted up to stage 6. So immediately, once there's a stage 6, we panic because what if we end up going to stage 7, especially with the bigger hospitals like Tygerberg, which is the second biggest hospital after Bara, what could happen? So in the 2017-2018, these 3 hospitals, Red Cross, Grooteskill, and Tygerberg, were exempted anyway through the city of Cape Town. So in this year, when the national were facilitating for the exemption of those, so they're already there. And as a result, we have had now additional other 7 hospitals that are exempted. However, Chair, it's only 1 hospital in outside Metro, which is George, that has been exempted. All others, the additionals, after the 3 that were exempted in 2018, they are in the Metro. Understandable, for example, the hospital like Kalich, I think the DM did mention Polokwane. It's a similar situation where the grid is all about the whole of that area in the South Sea and the Harare and all of those. That's why ESCOM says that they can't be able actually to exempt that. We have got the community health centers. I think we've got about 400 and something of those. Out of those 412, I think, it's only about 95, I think 95, where we could be able for them to be able to have generators. All others cannot be able to have those. That's why part of it is about to have these inverters in the rural clinics specifically, and also in some of these hospitals that are them, some of them, they're under ESCOM in the rural areas, and the others actually, they are part of the municipality grid. It's about to also install the UPS, which is the uninterrupted power supply. As my colleagues have alluded to, even if you do have generators, but you need to have the backup supply so that there's a continuation, especially when you are utilizing the equipment like the autoclave, also some of those devices in the nuclear medicine and all of those. So, Chair, what we're asking is about, yes, we can be here talking about how prepared we are, that we got this, but understand that there's no new money that is coming up, and all other health services in the whole country will be affected. So we can be able to be as innovative as much we can with the inverters, with the photovoltaics. For example, in the Western Cape, we also have the renewable energy part of the plan. I think the Premier signed it up with the Northern Cape as well, trying to make sure that at least we have got other alternatives. But the issue is about health system is under pressure, especially for us coming from the pandemic, and also there's no new money. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable MEC Dr. Mbombo. Now we'll go straight to Councillor Carls, representing Salga.
Thank you very much, House Chair, and good afternoon to all the colleagues, NCOP Chair, Deputy Minister, MECs, and the honourable members of the NCOP. Thank you for allowing Salga to be part of the briefing and also to present some input. Load shedding is such a scourge as, facing the, as a country. We're facing it. It does not just affect the health sector, but it impacts every facet of life, depriving people of the services that they desperately need. Now, Chairperson, obviously there's a lot of things that I would have to repeat, or that I wouldn't want to repeat, but I think it would just be important from Salga's point just to highlight, because a lot of the previous speakers has mentioned it. I think the first point for us to just start off would be that some of the municipalities, in particular metropolitan municipalities, are rendering primary healthcare services on behalf of provinces. The provision of both primary healthcare and municipal health services to communities has negatively been impacted by load shedding, and obviously that has put various pressures on budgets, on trying to maintain these facilities as well. And then also just some of the clinics do not have backup power supplies in forms of generators or UPSs, which was obviously highlighted, but that's an extremely important point. And even like the DM mentioned, that the backup generators, they're not meant to operate for longer than the 2 hours, or in some cases an hour, as we heard. So obviously that is detrimental to the health services. And then also, often health workers resort to work in dark spaces, and just to make sure that patients are assisted. And load shedding also impacts the medicine storage, as backup generators sometimes run out of diesel, leaving fridges without power, compromising the efficiency of the medication, and obviously of the pharmacies, as well as their consulting rooms. Like we've heard, the issues with the water, the boilers, the geysers, all of that also is of concern to Salga, and the impact goes beyond the provision of services, as impact on the finances of municipalities due to the cost of running diesel generators. Chairperson, the demand for municipal health services, particularly on services relating to ensuring food safety and food disposal, and then and as well as disposal of deceased individuals, is of concern. The already overstretched environmental health practitioners in municipalities are struggling to cope with the demand for monitoring of food premises and funeral undertaker premises as well. Obviously, we know the impact that load shedding has on equipment such as fridges, and here we can see that frozen foods run the risk of defrosting, and food items that need to be stored in refrigerators get warmed up again. And then the impact goes further. Smaller retail stores that do not have backup generators suffer from greater food spoilage after power cuts. Similar situations occur with restaurants and bakeries that are not equipped with power backup systems. The same impact is experienced in many households with no backup generators. I think SALGA is extremely concerned of just the knock-on effect that occurs within health services due to load shedding, and consumers run the risk of consuming spoiled food, as environmental health practitioners cannot be everywhere to ensure that spoiled food is disposed of. And then I think it's quite important, if we think of our spaza shops, if we think of the small retail stores within our communities, and the impact that has on communities, not just on a health perspective, but once again on a financial perspective as well. And that just, it's a snowball that continues rolling. Municipalities, through the environmental health practitioners, are tasked with responsibility of ensuring safe disposal of deceased individuals. Like what has been spoken about before, mortuaries and funeral undertakers, their premises become, backed up. The generators are battling to keep, the deceased bodies of decaying, and, they can no longer preserve the human, the deceased individuals at the temperatures that are needed. As with the monitoring of food premises, environmental health practitioners are battling to cope with the demand of ensuring safe disposal of the deceased and above the services that they already required to deliver. And I think for SALGA it is all about the dignity of life and the dignity of dealing with dignity, our communities, and obviously the family would want their loved ones to be dealt with in a very dignified manner, and obviously we can see that load shedding just robs individuals and families of that. Chairperson, as within the presentation that was distributed, there's a list of news articles that speak to all of these concerns that SALGA does have. So it's nothing new to many colleagues, and it has obviously found itself throughout communities in South Africa. And then just Chairperson, my last slide before I do conclude would be the two recommendations from SALGA's side. The first one is that all health establishments providing health services to the people be exempted from load shedding to mitigate the current impact of load shedding on the effective functioning of health facilities to save lives. And then the second one, government must fast-track efforts aimed at ending load shedding, as it does not only impact on safe and healthy environments, but also impact on social and economic development at a local level. And then, Chair, in conclusion, SALGA will be watching the budget speech with a great deal of interest, and SALGA also urges the National Health Minister to implement the recommendations made today, and also implores the NCOP members to continue to keep the executive to account. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Councillor Carls. It's always good when we organize the ministerial briefing and we have the representation of SALGA, because you are the coalface of service delivery. Nothing about you without you, as is always said by our Honorable Chief Whip Ntate Mogai. Thanks for all the presentations. Allow me now to take this opportunity to hand over to House Chairperson Mama, Honorable House Chairperson Gwenya, to take and deal with the part of questions from honorable members. Honorable Mama.
Thanks, Baba, and good day to everyone. Honorable members, we are continuing with session 3. Session 3 is about the questions. I'll start with members who want to raise their questions. I've got Honorable Ryder, number 1, number 2, Honorable Baha, number 3, Honorable Christian, number 4, Honorable Smith. Busy. Okay. I said Honorable Ryder, Honorable Baha, Honorable Christian, Honorable Smith, Honorable Dongeni, Honorable Upland, Honorable Lutuli. Thank you. Honorable Ryder, you can start.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. My
Honorable
question is
Ryder.
no longer a question. It now has to be a point of order. Chair, the MEC from Gauteng once again has removed themselves from the sitting just as we get to the questions section, and therefore MECs cannot be held accountable, cannot give answers to our questions. This is a habit certainly from Gauteng, Chairperson, and the question that I have, you know, I'm going to ask it anyway, but there's no one here to answer it. So Chair, I'd just like to raise that as an issue, please.
Thanks very much. Number. Are you done?
No, I'm not done, Chair. That was my point of order. Here's my question.
Honorable Ryder.
Yes, Chair. I will proceed. Thank you very much. Chair, so the question really is that we've seen a very superficial commentary on load shedding and the impact on the health system. You know, effectively people saying, yes, well, when there's no electricity, the lights don't come on. But not looking at some of the deeper knock-on impacts and the ways that this thing has an impact on healthcare and specifically healthcare provision. So I would have liked, if the MEC was still here, to ask about the ambulances, since the deputy minister deflected my question and referred it through to provinces, to say, you know, are we looking at more ambulances so that we can try and bring down the response time because of the additional time that first responders are having to spend in traffic. So that would have been the first part of my question, but also, more importantly, certainly in a Gauteng context, Chairperson, we've read often about the safety issues around hospitals. I think Baragwanath is one of the famous ones where we have real safety issues that cause problems for patients, for their visitors, but more importantly, have now is the fact that as soon as load shedding happens, there's darkness all around the hospital, and people, as they make their way to their vehicles, as they make their way to catch taxis, etc., are walking in the dark and exposing themselves to dangerous situations. So I would have liked to have known what the MEC is doing about making sure that hospitals remain safe places where people can come for treatment without any security risk while they are there.
Thank you, Honorable Ryder. You are done.
Yes. Go.
Honorable members, number 2 is Honorable Baha.
Thank you, House Chairperson.
Honorable members, I'll take all the questions then open for the MECs to respond.
All right.
Yes, Baba Ungateta.
Ngosi,
Honorable Baha.
yes, thank you, House Chairperson.
Honorable Baha.
Chair, I'm here. Yandiva. House Chair.
Yes, continue.
Yes, Ngosi, House Chair. Chair, mine is
Honorable Baha Kuba.
Yes, and Yakuba Chair.
Please speak, Baba.
All right, thank you. House Chair, my question is across the board in terms of,
Okay.
load shedding has had catastrophic effects on the South African economy, placing more and more young South Africans on the borderline of starvation. Now, my question is, what malnutrition trends have been detected in different provinces, and what are the plans that are there? Is there any engagement with social development in order to address issues of starvation across provinces? The second part, Chairperson, was directed to the Gauteng MEC. I will put it across though, probably she will get it. It has to do with Soshanguve, which is a constituency that I work in, wherein queues, there are endless queues outside the yard of the clinic, where people queue there even early hours of the morning, and in the height of crime in the area, it becomes a problem. Now, the gates are locked. People can't be inside the premises or the yard of the healthcare center. What is the MEC, or can there be people sent to just see and oversee what is happening there so that a solution can be sought with immediate effect before people die or are injured whilst they are seeking help in the different clinics? That's it, Chairperson, for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Baha. Honorable Christian.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson. My question is to the Northern Cape MEC. MEC, we've seen a slide from the Minister of the hospitals exempt from load shedding, and only 2 hospitals in the Northern Cape have been exempted, namely the DR Hospital and the Robert Sobukwe Hospital in Kimberley. Now, how are hospitals in other remote areas like Uppington, Berkeley West, Valfinia, Springbok being assisted during load shedding? Has this increased the burden on the Robert Sobukwe Hospital in Kimberley and the DR Hospital? And how is this being mitigated? How many of these facilities in the Northern Cape, including clinics, have operational generators and sufficient budgets for diesel? And then MEC, with regard to emergency response calls, in Berkeley West, the Professor Z.K. Matthews Hospital calls to the call center are currently being transferred to the Robert Sobukwe Hospital in Kimberley, who then has to determine whether the matter is life-threatening. Then they have to contact the staff at the Professor Z.K. Matthews Hospital via cell phone in order to either dispatch an ambulance or the necessary healthcare. This is but one of the hospitals whose call centers in the Northern Cape is being affected by load shedding. Now, MEC, to what extent are emergency centers, control rooms in the rest of the Northern Cape affected by load shedding? And can you quantify the number of emergency calls that could not be received or attended to promptly during such load shedding? Thank you, House Chairperson.
Thanks very much, Honorable Member. Honorable Smith.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, or House Chair. Honorable House Chair, before I start, I just want some confirmation if the MEC of Limpopo is still on this Zoom meeting. Can I get a confirmation if the MEC for Limpopo is on the meeting?
I'm here.
Thank you very much. Okay.
I think all the MECs they are in.
Okay. No, I just wanted clarity.
Sorry, Mr. Smith. I don't want us also to ask them. As they gave us the presentation, I hope they are in the meeting, all of them. Thank you. Honorable Smith, can you please come in? Baba Ryder.
Thank you very much, House Chair. MEC, the people of Limpopo expect from you to ensure that they have access to reliable and quality healthcare as you hold their